Welcome to my channel. World Scene News. Subscribe to my channel for news updates all around the world. For decades, Kentucky bourbon was more than a drink. It was a symbol of American heritage and booming success. The Golden Age saw distilleries expand and the state's economy thrive. But by late 2025, that momentum has collapsed. Now, the industry faces a crisis. Warehouses overflow with unsold whiskey, and demand has plummeted. The very success that fueled growth has led to overproduction and a painful bust. This is no longer a story of triumph, but of survival. Bankruptcies, closures, and job losses are shaking the bluegrass state. From cult favorites to ambitious newcomers, casualties are mounting, warning the entire industry. Understanding how Kentucky bourbon fell so far is the first step toward finding a way forward. Bourbon isn't just a drink in Kentucky, it's a $9 billion economic powerhouse, employing over 22,000 people. The industry's explosive growth, driven by global demand and cocktail culture, led to massive investments and millions of barrels aging in warehouses. By 2023, there were over 14 million barrels, more than 2 for every Kentuckian. Distilleries banked on endless demand, laying down whiskey for years to come. But now, that inventory is a liability. Falling sales mean billions are tied up in unsold stock. The industry's long production cycle makes it slow to react, exposing a critical vulnerability. What was once a badge of honor is now a heavy anchor. Kentucky's crisis boils down to one thing: supply has far outpaced demand. For years, bourbon was the darling of the spirits world, with distilleries racing to keep up with what seemed like an insatiable thirst. But now, the tables have turned, and the industry is facing a harsh, new reality. Distilleries ramped up production, betting on a never-ending bourbon craze, but the market cooled. As new brands flooded shelves and established names expanded their lines, the once booming demand began to slow. The result? Warehouses filled to the brim, and production lines that once ran around the clock now operate at a crawl. Now, 14 million barrels sit unsold, flooding the market and driving prices down. These barrels, once seen as liquid gold, have become a symbol of overconfidence and miscalculation. The sheer volume of unsold whiskey is staggering, and it's putting immense pressure on everyone in the business. To survive, some distilleries are forced to sell at a loss, further depressing prices for everyone. Deep discounts and fire sales have become the norm, as producers scramble to move product and free up space. This race to the bottom is hurting even the most established brands. Newer brands, lacking deep pockets or recognition, are especially vulnerable, stuck with expensive inventory and mounting debt. Many small distilleries invested heavily, hoping to ride the bourbon wave, but now find themselves unable to compete with larger players slashing prices. For some, the dream of making it big in bourbon is turning into a financial nightmare. Some, like Kentucky Owl, have even tried to pay debts with barrels of whiskey instead of cash. It's a desperate move, highlighting just how dire the situation has become. When barrels become currency, it's clear the industry is in uncharted territory. Lenders are wary. The whiskey glut has turned the industry's greatest asset into its biggest liability. Banks and investors, once eager to back bourbon's growth, are now tightening their purse strings, worried that the value of aging whiskey could fall even further. The cycle is vicious. Discounted bourbon hurts everyone, and the oversupply keeps growing. As prices drop, more brands are forced to cut their own, creating a downward spiral that's hard to escape. The glut is reshaping the industry, forcing tough decisions and painful sacrifices. The bourbon boom's legacy is now a market in distress. What was once a story of growth and opportunity has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked optimism and overproduction. Kentucky's whiskey makers are learning that sometimes having too much of a good thing can be the biggest problem of all. Oversupply isn't the only problem. Consumer tastes are shifting fast, especially among younger generations. Millennials and Gen Z are drinking less, driven by health trends and a sober, curious movement. When they do drink, they often choose hard seltzers, canned cocktails, or low-alcohol options over traditional bourbon. The industry, slow to adapt, is losing ground to these alternatives. Legal cannabis is also siphoning off dollars once spent on spirits. Distilleries invested billions based on old trends, but the market has moved on. The U.S. spirits market saw its first sales decline in 30 years in 2023. Kentucky bourbon now faces the challenge of selling a heritage product to a generation looking for something new. The timing couldn't be worse for distilleries with warehouses full of aging whiskey. International markets once fueled Kentucky bourbon's growth, but trade disputes have slammed the brakes. Canada, a top export market, has imposed barriers and taxes, making it harder to sell American whiskey abroad. Barrels meant for export now add to the domestic glut, worsening oversupply and price drops. Distilleries plan years ahead, but shifting trade policies have upended their projections. The industry is pushing for zero tariff agreements to restore stability and reopen export channels. Global trade uncertainty makes long-term planning risky for an industry that thinks in decades. The loss of reliable export markets has left Kentucky's distilleries exposed and isolated. The chill from Canada and other trade headwinds is a blow the industry can't ignore. The crisis is personal. Real brands and people are facing ruin. Behind every shuttered distillery are families, workers, and communities who have poured their lives into bourbon, only to watch their dreams slip away. The bourbon industry, once a symbol of Kentucky's pride and prosperity, is now at a crossroads, with uncertainty looming over even the most established names. Kentucky Owl, once a cult favorite, was bought by Stoli Group with big plans, but by 2024, it filed for bankruptcy, drowning in debt. The brand, which had inspired a loyal following and was poised for national expansion, found itself unable to keep up with mounting financial pressures. Years of investment and anticipation evaporated almost overnight, leaving behind empty warehouses and broken promises. In desperation, it tried to pay its bank with barrels of whiskey, but the market was too weak. The value of their once prized bourbon had plummeted, and creditors were unwilling to accept spirits in place of cash. The move, once unthinkable, became a symbol of just how dire the situation had become for even the most storied brands. Newcomers like Luca Mariano also collapsed, filing for bankruptcy just weeks after opening a new distillery. Their hopes of joining Kentucky's bourbon legacy were dashed almost immediately, as economic headwinds and a saturated market proved too much to overcome. The excitement of a grand opening quickly turned to heartbreak and uncertainty for everyone involved. Even massive investments like Garrard County Distilling's $250 million facility couldn't survive more than 14 months. The scale of the collapse was staggering. Gleaming new buildings and state-of-the-art equipment now sit idle, a stark reminder that no amount of money can guarantee success in a volatile market. These failures show that no one is safe, not even well-funded newcomers or global brands. The bourbon industry's challenges cut across all levels, from small family-run operations to international conglomerates. The sense of security that once came with deep pockets or a famous name has all but vanished. The bourbon dream has become a financial nightmare for many. What was once a source of pride and celebration is now a story of loss, anxiety, and dashed hopes. The landscape of Kentucky bourbon is littered with the remnants of failed ventures and broken ambitions. Each collapse sends shockwaves through the industry, raising fears of who's next. Workers worry about their jobs, local economies brace for impact, and bourbon lovers wonder if their favorite brands will survive. The uncertainty is palpable and the stakes have never been higher. The stories of Kentucky Owl, Luca Mariano and others are stark warnings for the future. They remind us that the bourbon industry, for all its tradition and glamour, is not immune to the harsh realities of business. As the dust settles, the fate of Kentucky's bourbon legacy hangs in the balance, leaving everyone to wonder what comes next. The financial crisis is hitting workers hard. Thousands face layoffs and uncertainty. Skilled jobs from master distillers to warehouse staff are disappearing as companies cut costs. Even giants like Brown-Forman have slashed their workforce, signaling deep trouble. Supporting industries, like barrel makers, are also laying off workers as demand falls. In small towns, the loss of distillery jobs ripples through local economies, hurting businesses and families. The bourbon boom once brought prosperity. Now, the bust threatens to undo years of progress. For many, a stable career in bourbon has become a source of anxiety and instability. The human cost of the downturn is a sobering reminder of what's at stake. Kentucky Owl and Luca Mariano aren't alone. Distress is spreading across the state. Uncle Nearest, once a rising star, is now in receivership with over $100 million in debt. Even established brands like Wild Turkey have seen sharp sales drops, proving the crisis is industry-wide. Small craft distilleries, once the heart of the bourbon boom, are now fighting for survival against falling sales and mounting debts. Financial troubles create a domino effect, hurting suppliers, farmers, and cooperatives. Lenders and investors are growing wary, making recovery even harder. The sheer number of distilleries in trouble paints a grim picture of an industry on the edge. Without intervention, the bourbon landscape could be changed for years to come. Kentucky bourbon stands at a crossroads, facing a crisis born from its own success. Once celebrated for its booming growth and global acclaim, the industry now finds itself grappling with new and unexpected challenges. The very factors that fueled its rise, surging demand, ambitious expansion, and international recognition, have also set the stage for a period of uncertainty and upheaval. Overproduction, changing tastes, and trade disputes have created a perfect storm. Warehouses overflow with unsold barrels while shifting consumer preferences leave shelves stocked with bottles that once flew off the racks. International tensions and tariffs have further complicated matters, closing off key export markets and leaving distillers searching for new opportunities. Recovery will require tough choices, working through the whiskey glut, likely with price cuts and industry consolidation. Distilleries must weigh the risks of downsizing or merging, while also finding creative ways to move excess inventory. For many, survival will depend on their ability to adapt quickly and make bold decisions in the face of adversity. Distilleries must innovate, offering products that appeal to younger, health-conscious consumers, like low-alcohol spirits and ready-to-drink cocktails. Experimenting with new flavors, sustainable practices, and creative marketing will be essential to capturing the attention of a new generation. The future of bourbon may look different, but embracing change is the only way forward. Waiting for the old market to return isn't an option. The days of relying solely on tradition and established customer bases are over. Distilleries must be proactive, seeking out new markets and building relationships with consumers who may have never tasted bourbon before. On the policy front, stable trade agreements are essential to reopen export markets and restore confidence. Government support and international cooperation will play a crucial role in helping Kentucky bourbon regain its footing on the world stage. Without these efforts, the industry risks losing its hard-won global presence. The industry's survival matters beyond Kentucky. It's a vital piece of American culture and economy. Bourbon is woven into the fabric of local communities, supporting thousands of jobs and drawing visitors from around the world. Its legacy is a source of pride, not just for Kentucky, but for the entire nation. The road ahead will be tough, but bourbon's history is one of resilience. Time and again, the industry has weathered storms. Prohibition, natural disasters, and economic downturns, emerging stronger each time. That same spirit of determination will be needed now more than ever. By adapting and confronting challenges head-on, Kentucky bourbon can secure its legacy for generations to come. The choices made today will shape the future, ensuring that this iconic American spirit continues to inspire, unite, and endure.